Every room you ever walked into where you felt out of place, every conversation where you could not quite match the frequency of everyone around you, every relationship where you felt fundamentally different, no matter how hard you tried to fit. None of that was a defect, and none of it was rejection. Something impossibly powerful was operating beneath every moment you felt you did not belong. The discomfort you carried was not evidence of something broken inside you. It was evidence of something so expansive inside you that the environments you were placed in simply did not have the capacity to contain what you were carrying without shrinking it first. In the entire spiritual history of souls navigating human existence, the specific experience of perpetual misalignment you carried has only ever been assigned to a particular category of soul. Most humans find their tribe, their rhythm, and their sense of belonging relatively naturally. But there exists a rare soul type that was never designed to fully integrate into any existing environment, because their assignment is not to join what exists, but to create what has never existed before. Ancient wisdom traditions describe these souls as atmosphere shifters, beings whose consciousness operates at a frequency so distinctly elevated that ordinary environments register it as disruption before they recognize it as gift. You were never broken. You were always different by divine design. Recently, you made a decision to stop shrinking yourself to fit a space that was not built for your full dimensions. You stopped editing your thoughts before speaking them. You stopped apologizing for perspectives that others found uncomfortable. You chose to exist at your full frequency, even in an environment that had never learned how to receive it. That decision, to stop performing belonging and start embodying authenticity, sent a signal through the spiritual realm that reverberated far beyond the room you were standing in. It was the moment your soul stopped trying to fit the mold, and the universe responded by beginning to reshape the world around the truth of who you actually are. Both dark and divine forces have monitored your experience of not belonging with extraordinary intensity. Dark forces used every moment of misalignment to whisper that you were too much, too different, a bit strange, hoping you would eventually choose conformity over calling. They invested in making you believe that the discomfort of not fitting was a problem requiring a solution rather than a signal requiring interpretation. But divine forces were watching something entirely different. They were observing whether your uniqueness would survive the pressure to disappear into sameness. Every time you almost conformed and did not, every time you protected your perspective against environments that tried to flatten it, divine intelligence recorded it as an act of profound spiritual courage. Remember when you were in a group where everyone agreed and you alone saw something different, and you voiced it anyway despite the discomfort it created. Remember when you walked away from a community that required you to think inside its boundaries because your mind simply could not stay that small. Remember when someone told you that you were too intense, too deep, or too much, and instead of shrinking you quietly chose to protect what made you different. Remember when fitting in was entirely available to you, and you chose authenticity instead, even though authenticity was the lonelier road. Each of those moments was a confirmation that your uniqueness was not accidental, and that you understood somewhere beneath the surface that it was worth protecting. The higher beings who oversee the placement and activation of rare soul types reviewed your complete record of misalignment, and what they found reframed everything. Every environment that could not contain you was not a failure of belonging. It was a confirmation of capacity. Your consciousness consistently exceeded the containers it was placed in, and rather than diminishing to fit, you repeatedly chose the discomfort of overflow over the comfort of compression. This pattern was classified by celestial intelligence as atmosphere shifter confirmed, a designation given only to souls whose presence is designed not to match existing environments, but to permanently elevate every environment they inhabit simply by refusing to reduce themselves within it. At the moment you made your most recent decision to exist without apology in your full and authentic expression, God witnessed it with complete and undivided attention. The archangels assigned to atmosphere-shifting souls gathered to observe what was unfolding in your life. They had watched you navigate lifetime after lifetime of misalignment, always carrying more than your environment could hold, always feeling the particular loneliness of a soul whose frequency has no local match. And when you chose authenticity over belonging in that recent moment, heaven recognized it as the final confirmation. A divine declaration was spoken over your identity that sealed your uniqueness as your greatest asset and permanently retired the lie that your differentness was ever a disadvantage. A decree was issued that formally activated your true identity as an atmosphere shifter, and it is already executing in every dimension of your life. The universe has ended the season in which you were required to navigate spaces too small for your consciousness and has begun constructing environments specifically architected for the full expression of who you are. The decree states that your differentness is no longer a source of isolation. It is now your primary instrument of impact. What once made rooms uncomfortable will now make rooms transformative. What once felt like a social liability has been officially reclassified as a divine superpower, and the world around you is already beginning to reorganize. In response to that reclassification, you are not simply someone who never fit in. You are an ancient soul who has carried an elevated frequency across multiple lifetimes, specifically because your assignment in this one required you to arrive already different. You are a celestial atmosphere shifter, a soul whose consciousness was calibrated at a higher frequency before incarnation, so that when you entered human environments, you would naturally disturb stagnation, challenge limitation, and expand the thinking of every space you occupied. The loneliness of not belonging was the cost of a gift so rare that it required protection through isolation until the moment of its full activation. That moment is now, and the gift you protected through years of feeling different is the most powerful thing you have ever carried. Your mission is to stop searching for environments where you belong and to become the kind of presence that transforms every environment into one where truth, depth, and expanded thinking are not just welcome but required. You are assigned to walk into rooms and shift what is possible within them simply by refusing to participate in the smallness that was there before you arrived. The people who once found your differentness uncomfortable are the very people your presence is designed to stretch. Your mission is not to find your people. It is to awaken the depth in people who did not know they had it until you walked in and made it safe to exist beyond the boundaries of ordinary thinking. Watch what begins happening in your external world now that your authentic frequency is fully activated and no longer being suppressed. The right environments will begin appearing, spaces that were built for the kind of thinking you carry. Relationships with people who do not require you to edit yourself will begin forming with a naturalness that will feel unfamiliar after so long in compression. Creative and professional opportunities that require exactly the kind of perspective you spent years being told was too much will begin presenting themselves. The universe is now sending your life what your authenticity always deserved and what your conformity was always blocking. The full expression of who you are is the most magnetic and most powerful version of you that has ever existed. As your authentic frequency becomes fully visible, people around you will begin experiencing something they cannot immediately name. They will feel more alive in your presence. They will think thoughts they have never thought before after a single conversation with you. They will leave your company with a strange and beautiful restlessness, a sense that they too were made for more than the space they have been occupying. Your presence will not preach at anyone. It will simply make smallness uncomfortable and expansion feel possible. People who have been quietly suffocating inside lives too small for their own hidden depth will encounter you and remember something about themselves that the pressure to conform had buried. Your authenticity will be their permission. Right now, across the world, thousands of souls are carrying the same lifelong experience of not belonging, the same feeling of being too much and never enough. Simultaneously, the same exhaustion of existing at a frequency that the surrounding environment cannot match. They are part of the same global network of atmosphere shifters being activated simultaneously, and they are in every culture, every community, and every field of human endeavor where expanded consciousness is needed most urgently. When you step fully into your authentic expression and stop apologizing for your differentness, your signal reaches every one of those souls, still hiding their frequency, and it tells them that the gift they have been suppressing is exactly what the world has been waiting for. If this message found you today, it found you because the universe needed you to finally understand that you were never broken, never too much, and never meant to belong to what could not contain you. Comment 777 right now as your declaration that you receive your identity as an atmosphere shifter, and that you choose from this moment forward to exist at your full frequency without apology or reduction. Share this with someone who has spent their life feeling like they do not belong and has not yet been shown that their differentness is their destiny. Subscribe so that every activation message released for souls at your frequency finds you without delay. And if you stayed until this final word, you just proved that the depth everyone once told you was too much is exactly enough to change everything.